Before we begin, thank you very much to BioRider for joining my Patreon campaign. Thank you very much. Very appreciated. Thanks for helping keep the channel going. I want to apologize to a few people because Patreon gets a little bit screwy when it comes to showing the credits for my patrons. My credits at the end of the videos have been a little bit wonky the last few days. Everything's been corrected now. Everyone's name is appearing. I found out some people are actually they're actually donating above my like $15 top tier, so it's defaulted them down to the $5, so their names weren't coming up properly, and it does weird things where it like drops your name until like a payment clears and then you go through it. It's weird. It's weird and it's screwy, but it's all fixed now, so I apologize for anyone who's missed your credits. It's all good now. All right, so it's very, very rare this channel talks about third-party product. However, when TFcon does a third-party panel, that is one of the exceptions I make, because while I'm not going to partake in much third-party, if any, it's still interesting to look at, and it's still worth talking about, especially when it's in this huge dump of new stuff that we can go through and kind of figure out what is what and why everything is being done this way. It's fun. It's interesting to me, even if it's not something I'm personally going to partake in. So we'll go through it slide by slide. It's a pretty big presentation, so we'll kind of go through it a little bit quickly. The first offering that they showed was Nanobots, which they show in conjunction with TF Source, but you have to go to their Etsy page to buy them. And like the last time we talked about Nanobots, barely any of these things are actually available. They're produced in incredibly low numbers. Which is unfortunate because they're still advertising the whole lineup here. But yeah, there's a Soundwave on the way with all of his little cassettes. No one transforms, by the way. None of these transform. They're just action figures. They got a Brawn, a Shockwave, and this is why they don't transform. Look how tiny these things are. If you've never seen a Nanobot, there you go. They are about as tiny as they can be and still function as ball-jointed action figures. Now these are 3D print pieces, and not to like, I'm not trying to like undercut it because it does take an extremely expensive 3D printer and really good printing material in order to produce things that can function at this size with ball jointed engineering that's going to hold up in durability wise and not like fracture on you from how thin the plastic is. So I'm not discounting like how much goes into making these, but I still find them to be pretty expensive for what they are, for the size, for the fact that they aren't painted when you get them. They're not even printed in the color that the character is. It's a little bit disappointing. It's a little bit disappointing, but credit where credit's due. If you just want tiny action figures to fill out your city figures, your Metroplexes, your Fort Maxes, your Arcs, whatever, it's a really, really ambitious attempt at making these like super tiny Transformers. Yeah, that's how small they get. You've also got to be real good with a fine detail brush to make them look good paint-wise. So it's not personally my thing, but there's definitely a market for this just for the sake of having, you know, these tiny little figures for your playsets and dioramas. So I know that, I mean, I guess they're doing well because they're still continuing. Random shots of Cell, the third-party Unicron. He's got a big hammer now, so good for him. I have a regular here at the toy shop that often like gives me you know, just he lays it in because I prefer Hasbro product to third party. And like we were talking about Unicrons and like, why would you want the HasLab Unicron? Because all this like it's just nothing but panels and the hands are so hollow. Hollow hands is where you draw the line. That toy is massive. I want everything on that toy hollowed out so it doesn't crumble under its own weight. What are you talking about? Hollow hands. No, he prefers Cell. I don't like Cell. I don't like that the asymmetry is taken out of his robot design. I don't like that some of his proportions or how some things look. I really don't like his planet mode. The planet mode is the bigger thing to me with Unicron than the robot, and the planet mode is not my thing. So if you're watching out there, I'm sorry. I still do not personally like Cell. All right, we've got apparently a unique take on Hound on the way. Doesn't look too bad. Looks a little bit more modernized. Astrobots, not even a Transformer line. So this was a super high articulation action figure that they did a while back. I actually have one of the original Astrobots. I've got the green and purple version, and like the level of posability you can get out of them is insanity. Like, it's an incredibly articulated piece. Super cool. And apparently, with the help of Simon Furman, they are actually designing brand new Astrobots with a comic book series included. So it's actually kind of cool to see something that went from one single mold with just a couple of repaints and head options expand into something that might be its own little microverse. And they've already shown off some of the new toys. So Apollo being the original, Tarantula and Wasp on the way, Athena. Yeah, they're going all out here. And the new stuff does look pretty good. I actually really like Artemis here, this purple one with the big space wings. She looks cool. I don't know why she's doing a great Saiyaman pose in the upper right corner. Why did I not notice that the first time I went through these? Like I said, the articulation in these things is really impressive. All right, Vulcan with a big four-armed appearance. That could lead to some cool stuff. That is depending on price. That is depending on price and other color schemes they come out in, whether I go for those or not. Because I really like my first one, but it's also one of those toys I've kind of considered selling just because it's kind of a one-off. It doesn't really fit in with anything. Might fit in with something now. Magic Square is back. Okay, I've seen this one around. I've seen this little, like, chibi Chromia around. And I'm going to say, like, it's adorable. This thing is super freaking cute. I mean, I love that so much of her. I love that the idea of, like, making a chibi transformer where so much of the vehicle bulk is in the head. You know? So, like, it's mostly the head that transforms on this one. But it's fun. I mean, it's a super cute little aesthetic. You know, and the bike she turns into, not bad either. So this is just a fun little one. This is a fun one all the way around. See. Magic Square apparently doing Combaticons next. We've got a Brawl, a Swindle, a Blast Off, Vortex, Onslaught, your favorite 5. I mean, looking super cool. Like, I'm exhausted on combiners from third party, but if it's Magic Square, these are going to be on a smaller scale, so that's a little bit more different, and they look great. They look really good. Let's see, Brawl seems to be the only one that got done in color right now. Okay, we're also going to Dinobots. This is another realm that I think third party is just really exhausted in. There's a repaint of their Optimus and Magnus colors. Pretty typical, but not bad looking. I like the white Optimus Prime. I always have. New Age. All right. New Age is one of those third-party companies I actively support because they do some incredibly interesting stuff at their small sizes. Though the pricing on those has gotten a little bit outrageous for what they are. All right. So we have a Power Glide on the way who does look really nice. Hughes. Magic Square always has the best names. The repaint is Goblin. And then Flying Worm done up as the Cobra. I'm going to get the name wrong. I want to say Cobra Viper, but I don't know my G.I. Joe vehicles as well as I probably should. But this is the G.I. Joe base one. We got one of these from, I want to say, the Combiner War Power Glide. Autobot X. And yet again, I've seen so many attempts to do Autobot X. Haven't seen a transforming one yet. But Frankenstein, which appropriately named, is going to be the Little Legends version. Little tiny pocket scale Autobot X. We got a Huffer on the way. Not bad. Pipes, of course, being done as well. Wind Charger, looking fine. Nothing too complex about a Wind Charger, so I'm kind of curious how they're going to make that one interesting. All right, we're in New Age going into Dinobots as well. Okay, so two pocket-sized companies that are both going after Dinobots at the same time? That's not going to go well. All right, Fans Toys. What do you have for us? All right, so Fans Toys is more Masterpiece scale. We're getting Gears, who has way more articulation than Gears should ever have. It's weird when I can see a character posing and go like, that articulation level is out of character. He should not be able to pose like that. He does have this trademark grimace, so he's a grumpy little dude. He looks good. He looks good. That waist, that ab crunch is giving me like weird vibes. Like he looks like he's cut in half there. But it's gonna be a nice fit in with the rest of their mini bot scale. It's got his utility arm and everything, so looking really nice, looking really good next to Swerve there. Wow, lots of face options actually, including the episode that got reprogrammed. There's Swerve. No IDW in this one. This is just straight up G1 style. You do get a visor option though. That's not bad. Yeah, he's a little bit more simple in design than Gears, I think. All right, and this is where like third party starts blurring to me, because I could have sworn I've seen so many attempts of doing Galvatron and his crew as third party toys. Like I just kind of like I could have sworn like didn't someone do Masterpiece Scale Scourge? Am I just losing it? Am I just losing it now? I mean, it does look bad. Looks really good. Looks really sleek. Yeah, he gets a target master, so he's got that. Does a weird head thing. Gotta do the weird head thing when you're a sweep. He doesn't have the mutated face. Like he doesn't have that like bulging out. I just got stung by a wasp face. Oh well, not a big loss. These are hopefully going to be affordable, considering people are going to be wanting like 3 or 4 of them at a time. Yeah, and there he is with the crew. Their Cyclonus does look really good. It's super sleek in the vehicle mode. All right, Bingo Toys. I've never heard of this toy company. So that's the other thing that makes third party hard to follow, because there's so many companies just pop up out of nowhere all the time. All right, so Bingo is doing their own transforming spider. Now, when I show you the robot mode, here's the thing. So I did a thing on Twitter. I did a thing on Twitter where I kind of like took a stand against bigotry in the Transformer fandom, and the clapback that a few people had, but more than one person had, was this coming from a guy who cries over boobs on a robot. Okay, number one, that's really not a clapback that you think it is. Number one, because it's not really insultive. 2, yes, I do. When the robot is being done wildly out of character, right? So it's not the fact that there's boobs on the robot, it's the fact that there's boobs on a robot who never should have had boobs because they're never sexualized. When you're just taking a design and sexualizing it for the sake of someone's spank material, it's not only disrespectful to the original creator and the character, it's also got a level of sexism to it too. And if you don't think it's sexist, please show me the third-party Optimus Prime that is sculpted to be wearing a G-string with a noticeable bulge. Anyone? Anyone? No. Sexist. I will come off that argument when the other side of the coin is flipped. Until then, yeah, it's a little bit, meh. However, here's the thing. When the character is intentionally sexualized, that's fine, because you're not wildly, taking the character out of character. I should have phrased that better. So when it's Black Arachnia, fair game. She's a femme fatale. She's literally designed after they went to a strip club to find out research. That said, we're not looking at Black Arachnia either. If we take a look at this, yes, there are elements of Black Arachnia, but it's definitely not definitely not her normal colors, and it's not the Transmetal colors either. This seems to be a fresh character. It really doesn't match either of Black Arachnia's Beast Wars designs. So I'm actually kind of curious where they're going to go with this one. Now I expect a black and gold version. I absolutely do. But it almost seems more like an original design. And it's doing things that Black Arachnia is not known for, like taking off the legs to use as weapons, using her spider butt as a shield. So there's different things going on. It just seems to be like taking inspiration from Black Arachnia, but still doing kind of its own thing. So, yeah, doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me. All right, O1 Studios, or, who we got here? We got Seed. So the counterpart to their Unicron, Cell, is their Primus, Seed. I don't know. I've not studied Cell well enough to know if any of this is remolded. It definitely takes from the Cybertron design a little bit, especially when you see the rounded elements on the sides of the legs. So I can definitely see where some of the inspiration lies. I don't know how much of it's redone from Cell or if it's completely new tooling, but I will tell you, I'm more interested in this than I am their Cell, because I feel like their Cybertron, when we see this in full paint, is going to look pretty incredible. Also, I think canonically, I know Unicron is supposed to be smaller than Cybertron, but I kind of feel like there's such a bigger threat if it's flipped, right? So IDW style Unicron, where he's literally big enough to rip the planet in half with his hands. That's kind of the vibe I'm going with. So Seed, I'd be much more in the market for than Cell. So I'm kind of curious where that's going. Transbots since 2008. Congrats. Most third-party companies do not last so long. All right, so they are doing their own Protectobots. I believe this is their Perfection series. I could be wrong. Or is it someone else that does Perfection? I can't keep track of all these. Regardless, their Streetwise does not look bad. Streetwise always kind of looks a little flat in design, but that's in character for him. Police car mode, not bad. Not bad at all. That's it. We're straight into Metagate. It's weird where some of these companies only have one thing to show off at a time. It seems like a lot of these companies are a little bit more reserved in their offerings right now, which is kind of understandable. The third-party market's kind of shrinking because economy sucks, but they are still, some of them are still at it, and some still trying their best. We got a Bumblebee movie-style Optimus Prime on the way. I don't really know how you improve on the Voyager or the Masterpiece that came out, but someone's going to give it a shot. I don't know the scale of this, to be fair. If this is Legend scale, then bravo, because it looks really good. Scale would help. Some kind of scaling would help. And then a teaser for a Bludgeon. And that's all we get for Bludgeon. A head and a sword. So maybe a Bludgeon's on the way, or maybe we're just going to let you build your own. I don't know. All right, Iron Factory. Here's another one I am familiar with. It's another pocket scale company, but they've done some really interesting things as of late. All right, so it seems like they're doing, this seems to be just another run of their Seekers. But it seems like they're using, I want to say they have two different versions of their Seeker mold. And this one looks like the mold that they used for Slipstream. It has some kind of the same Kirby elements in the waist. So, is he literally doing all three of the Seekers as girls? It seems to be the implication. Alright, so the Tarn in the middle, flanked by two more, the DJD, hulking as they should appropriately be. I mean, with that should be big deluxe size for the scale that Iron Factory does. Alright, so they got a Tarn. They got a Tarn coming out. And now this would lead me to believe they're doing a full-size Tarn, which is an interesting timing for it, because I feel like the Mastermind one was already, Coulter was already done so well. Why would you compete with it? But also, there's a cheap Tarn out there, too. And by cheap, I do not mean bad. This is a really, really good retail Transformer. So it's an interesting time to try and release a new Tarn. Alright, we do have some extras. A little bit of G2 love going into these selections. And then a Primal Prime of all things. Alright, so not bad there. Okay, so we have it's the IDW Magnus, but it's when he was in his heaviest of heavy designs. The one that never had a toy. And I do like the idea that we are getting the Powered Convoy look. I always really like Powered Convoy's colors. Okay, toy color Galvatron. Not bad, not bad. Much darker take on their Lockdown. Removed all the green, all that. Looks far more movie-esque. Alright. Inferno has, okay, and this is getting into their samurai aesthetics a little bit. A little bit. There's some that are really push that design aesthetic, but Inferno and Red Alert at the same time is a good call. All right, and then if we're getting Art Fire and Grapple. Obviously, if we're getting Inferno, obviously we're going to get those two. All right, more Datsuns, Blue Streak and Smokescreen. Prowl and Prowl. Now, I could swear that, like, this is a reveal panel, but I could have sworn I saw them announce that they're doing, like, the animated colors on their prowl already. So I don't know how much of this is, like, redone or reworked. All right, so Brawn and Outback. Here's where we get interesting, and I would actually be in the market for this depending on the price. So they are doing their own Lyokaiser at pocket scale, which is really, really cool, especially if it keeps all the internal mechanics working the same way. Like no extra parts for transformation. It looks really, really solid. Looks really, really cool. Proportions out really nicely too, given everything that's going on here. The big one here is a Jaruga, who has to form the hip piece, and like that's always on a 6-piece combiner. That's always one that is the hardest to figure out and engineer. He looks really good, so if they actually manage to get that into that crotch piece and it still works and is fully articulated, bravo, because that does not look like an easy design feat. So yeah, cute little Lyokaiser. I'm down for that. Oh, and the best part, they're doing Death Cobra too. I love that. I love they're throwing in Death Cobra. We're getting a Fallen, and this is where I'm really upset that we only have these renders of the robot modes. I would love to see how this toy looks in the vehicle mode with all these flames going on, because it even looks like the flames might not even be like accessory. They might be like hard molded onto the toy for what it looks like. Could be wrong, but it definitely looks like it's going to be an intimidating piece. Of course, a Fallen should be. Here's where we're getting more into the samurai aesthetic. Look at the Naginata that Sunstreaker is wielding now. All right, the brothers look good. Primal definitely has some samurai elements to him. He's pushing a little bit of Oni as well. Not a bad look. Cheetor is weird. Like, if it wasn't for that little bit of cheetah head that's sticking out on his robot mode, that would just kind of look like Cheetor on Cybertron before he had a beast mode at all. Like, it's almost that vibe. Like, it's really hard to tell what he even does. And, of course, they're doing Starscream with a girl head. Why not? Why not? And, yeah, of course, the other Seekers do. All right. Fans Hobby. Man, these things go on for a while. My throat is getting very dry. So, and I still have a video after this to shoot. So, let's hope this is not too long. All right, so Bossman, doing Euro G1 Boss. This is one of those TFcon toys I really wish I could get my hands on. Like, I really like Boss. I have the G1 Boss, and it's a really nice design. I wish they'd reuse. Yeah, I would not object if I had an opportunity to buy this. I'm not saying like sell me yours, but like someday, it's like somewhere on the to-do list someday, if the right opportunity comes up. It's weird that like they redid him from, I want to say, if I'm looking at the mold right, I want to say they redid him from like a Go Shooter or a Siren, because that's kind of what it looks like. He's got that Headmaster Junior vibe, and well, he's a Headmaster period, which is already weird for Boss. All right, we do have a Dreadwind on the way, and I assume that means a Darkwing as well. Yep, there's Darkwing. Now, I looked at some of these slides before. There's something cool here that they're doing that I actually really, really like. They come with their Power Master partners. However, they're not required to transform the toys, which is already a good benefit. But also, instead of having dedicated grooves in the toy for the Power Masters, those slots are covered up, and you have to open them up in order to put the Power Master in. So the jet mode doesn't look compromised, or doesn't look like it has a big hole in it when you don't want to use the Power Master, or if you happen to lose it like many kids of the 80s did. Good thinking. Really good thinking. And yes, of course, they have the combined mode, which actually looks a fair bit more solid than most times these two combine. So again, need color shots, because I need to see these guys in color. They are doing Overload. It looks like Overload's lost a little bit of his beef in order to be more functional as a figure, but it's not a bad look. And he's very well articulated, far better than the original, obviously. I'm not sure if I'd be in the market for this. I love Overload's design, even without the Optimus Prime combination. So even without, was it Marine Commander? Even without that, I would be in the market for something like this, potentially. Just because I think the design is cool. There's something a little bit off about it. I want to see it in its proper colors before I make a conclusion on that one. I do like that it comes with normal Minicon ports and 5mm holes, so we can fit Micromasters as well. Like the individual Minicons articulated too. He does the full combination and everything that everyone wants the thing to do. He does the thing. Combines to the base mode too, which I believe is a function of the original one that most people forget about. And then, yeah, it's super early, but they also have a prototype of Jetfire. The proportions on Jetfire are a little bit more concerning. The arms seem just way too small for the character. I understand he's got to turn into a pair of legs and a space shuttle, so space is limited. But, man, you got to be able to bulk out those arms a little bit more than that. They look so, like, anemic compared to the rest of him. I hope that one goes through some extra processes before it comes out, because I really feel like it needs a bump up from there. Everything else looks like it functions good. His Minicon still functions as his landing gear in the vehicle mode, so that's fine. Still fits on the back of Overload. Still does everything. Still combines. Now, as legs, he looks good, but I don't think he should exist just as an upgrade. I really feel like he could stand on his own if he was done up a little bit better than he was. Yeah, but it does look good. I wish they'd shown it on the standard Prime, but they're pushing the repaint right now. So we're probably gonna have to wait till someone gets it in hand before we actually get to see what it looks like in normal colors. And then yeah, the whole thing combines too. Of course it does. All right, Vectron Lab. One shall stand, one shall fall. We're really just pushing the limit here on what we can legally get away with, right? We just put Optimus and Megatron's head on the side. That's our logo. It's Optimus and Megatron's heads. And speaking of, check this out. This is where like the audacity of this company, So let's read this. Thank you so much from all those fans, friends, and colleagues who have supported and encouraged us from the beginning up until now to get to here. We will keep our promises according to our expectations. And now, so here's the target of Vectron Lab. Offer originally to the project, English, transformable shovel double combiner configuration. Don't alter G1 anime character design, robot mode, alt mode, and combiner mode. Stability and mechanical balance, solid joint, professional design. Responsible and aware choices on penalties that can compromise point 2 without neglecting point 3. So basically they're trying to produce a Devastator that does literally everything. All those things that every other Devastator kind of does, this one wants to do all of it. So here we have our Scrapper, and yes, he does look very close to the animation model. Very good there. You can see he does seem very articulated. He does seem like very solid, very put together, very large, masterpiece scale, easily. Yep, individual, articulated hands, all that's really good. Great, elbow goes beyond the 180. Love to see that. Beyond the 90 even. Beyond the 90. Ab crunch and all that. You can see how complex the toy is when you see the ab crunch there. Now, here's the surprising parts. Like, number one, we're dealing with scale here. There he is next to Masterpiece Megatron 2. He's going to be huge. The Devastator from this is going to be gargantuan. But if we take a look, remember what it said. It said that it was going for alternate combine modes. So this is what they're actually trying to design out for this toy. We're looking at the same toy here, apparently. Like, that Scrapper on the left is the same toy as the Scrapper on the right, but it somehow reconverts into a toy-accurate or an anime-accurate depiction. And it still functions completely as an independent robot. And I genuinely do not know how they're pulling this off or accomplishing this. This seems like engineering, masterful engineering, if it's really what they're doing. And if they actually can plot this out to work for all 6 of them, including, including Wide Load, who we've discussed, has the biggest burden, like, as you know, as the crotch piece, it would be incredible. Like, of all things third party needs to stop doing, I say it's Devastators. I say it's Constructicons. There's so many out there. Constructicons and Dinobots both. I cannot see how we have any room for any more at this point. But if they pull this off, and if this actually works, and it's still like still structurally sound, it's going to be incredible. Like, no joke. Like, it's going to be an incredibly impressive piece if it works. Also, it's called Devastator because we really don't care about breaking copyright laws anymore. I miss the weird names. I miss the weird names. I don't like when the name is literally one letter off like that. And apparently they're working on a Megatron too. If they can make a Megatron that looks good in gun mode and robot mode at the same time, bravo. Bravo. Mastermind. Man, we're still not done. Still not done. Okay, I saw this one before. Prototor Nimbus. I love third-party names like that. This is actually, if I recall right, a retool of their Deathsaurus. And you can really see that in the chicken mode. You can really see that in the vulture mode. But, and then they worked in a tank mode too, which looks really good. Like, it would fit in with like the IDW style toys very well. Really, really impressive. Okay, Infinity. You guys really need to work on your logo because it's very hard to read. You need spacing. You need spacing. You need darker outer borders. But they are producing a few other things in the Ocular Max series. So remember that Girl Tarn? Now it's Girl Armada Megatron. And it really just looks like a female mold with a normal Armada Megatron head slapped onto it with no feminizing whatsoever. So it looks super weird. It looks super weird. But at least it's interesting, at least. It's at least interesting. I'll give it that. All right. More Ocular Max. They're doing more tapes. There is Rewind. I like the idea behind these. I like the idea of like making full-size cassette tapes that transform into these like perfect little representations of the character. Every time I see them in stock, it's always the translucent ones, and I don't want to touch them. But this one, maybe not so much. Maybe not so much. I might go for this one. All right, there's the Perfection series. All right, the Art of Transformation, showing off Hotspot. So we are getting Protectobots in the Perfection series. Now, Perfection means everything is integrated. Aside from doing a really well-rounded transformer that's, you know, accurate to the character, there are no separate feet, no separate chest, no separate hands, no separate head. It's all built into the toys. And this one does it in a really funny way. So he's got the weird base mode that the old toy had. Still, of course, forms the torso of Defensor. Looking really good. The proportions look really solid. But this is how he deals with the feet. He literally like has like crane legs. I don't mean crane the vehicle. I mean crane the bird. He looks like a flamingo. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. But the fact that it works, the fact that like they figured out how to store the legs away in Hotspot, and it still works, gives 90 degrees knee bend without issue. That's really impressive. That's more impressive engineering. So, okay, credit to you. It's a funny solution. At least it worked out. And I don't know, teaser image, super blurry. I don't know. No. Oh my god, and that is everything. That is everything. All right, so what's our big takeaways here? I like the Primus. I like the look of the Primus coming out. I need to see that in color. I like a lot of those samurai influenced Iron Factory pieces. And I'm probably not gonna buy them because they're gonna be so expensive because of how complex they are. But if they can pull off this like flawless Devastator that does two completely different combined modes, I will be watching that very, very intently to make sure, like just to see if they actually pull it off well. So that is yet another roundup for me talking about third-party stuff. Rare for the channel, but hey, it's worth doing it a couple times a year when TFcon comes around. Thank you guys for watching. I need to go get a drink of water, but I will see you next time.
Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.